Is it a goal of yours to one day being able to bind in a seated spinal twist? Well, if it is, then maybe this is going to be the perfect practice for you. I hope so. It comes by request, and I've made it like a practice tutorial, basically. I am Anita Goa. If you're new to me in my channel, welcome. If you have been here for some time, thank you so much for sticking around. I will see you on the mat. We're going to start in a downward facing dog, and I am going to suggest that you use some blocks. Even if you can do the downward facing dog without blocks, integrate the blocks and maybe keep it at the medium height level. And the reason for this is just to create a little bit more extension and openness in your torso. This is going to be very important for being able to bind. So stay with your breath. Keep your mouth closed, inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Full breath in and full breath out. And of course, if you need to bend your knees or keep your heels a little bit higher off the ground, go for that. And then wave yourself into a plank pose. So start to lift the heels, draw up into the navel, rounding your spine, sending your shoulders over your wrists, then lowering your hips, pointing the feet and lifting your chest for an upward facing dog. So this might feel a little bit strange if you're not used to being on the blocks, but just really notice how much extension you're creating in your front body, in your torso in general, and that openness through the chest and the shoulders. Maybe move your head a little bit side to side. Good. Then keep your knees and your shins on the ground, draw up into your core, round yourself into a cat stretch. And then gradually shift your left hand to the floor, turning your fingers towards your knees, and then do the same with the right. Pressing your palms into the floor and then arching your spine. And just doing this a few times, rounding as you exhale, arching as you inhale. Just to stretch out and prepare the wrists and the forearms and the bicep, because these are also areas that are involved in the binding. Good, one more time. And just stay in the cat and then gradually peel your left hand off, keeping the right arm extended, and then turn to the top of your palm and press down into it as you straighten the arm out and just giving the wrists a bit of a stretch there. Good, and slowly release that. Place your hand into a normal position, fingers pointing forward, and then peel the right hand off and do the same on that side as well. So staying at the top there, so you'll feel that bend in your wrist, and you see the purpose of that as we get to it. Good, and then slowly release that hand. Okay, come back onto the blocks and go into downward dog as you exhale. And take a deep inhale, and then exhale, draw up into the navel again as you round, step the right foot forward into a low lunge. And from here, lower the back knee into the floor, and if you need padding, give yourself padding. Take the blocks with you as you lift to an Anjana Asana. And then feel free to keep the hands on the blocks, just again to really open up the chest and find that extension in your spine, and you will feel a bit of a stretch, or maybe a lot of a stretch into your left hip flexor or psoas. And then exhale it into downward facing dog again. Then inhale, wave yourself into a plank, and again come into an upward facing dog. So lifting the chest. And then one more time, exhale, round it into a cat stretch. And then slowly lower the right hand down, turn your fingers towards your knees and arch it into a cow. So repeating what we did one more time. Rounding as you exhale. Arching as we inhale. Rounding, exhale. Arching, inhale. And then round it again. Pause it there. Gradually peel the right hand off and then turn to the top of the hand. Pause it there. Notice if it feels any different this time around. Then release that and peel the left hand off. Just move very smoothly. Spread your fingers, press at the top there. Straightening out the arm just as much as you can, just you feel that stretch in the wrist. Good, and then slowly release. Place your hands back onto the blocks and exhale into downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale here, and then exhale, round the spine again, stepping the left foot forward. Lowering the back knee into the floor and inhaling to Anjana Asana. Send your hips forward, lift the chest, drop the shoulders down. Full breath in. Full breath out. Good. Then exhale again into downward facing dog. Good. Just one more time. Inhale, wave it into a plank pose and upward facing dog. I really enjoy working with the blocks and feeling this expansiveness that happens. And then exhale it into downward facing dog. It gives just a different sense of the body and also relaxes the muscles a little bit more. And then that will help us to create some more space for the binding to happen. We're going to round the spine again and transition the right foot forward one more time. And then lower the back knee into the floor and turn your toes to the right and come up into what's called gates pose. So you can flex the foot. So now you're turning sideways. And we're going to engage the core, lifting the chest. Feel free to take the blocks with you. Place them to the side and you're going to bend over your extended front leg. Reaching that top arm over your ear. Feel free to support your head here. And you'll feel that delicious stretch all the way through the left side of your spine. And this also gets into the shoulder a bit as well. Full breath in. Full breath out. If you feel that your left knee feels compromised, press a little bit more down into your shin, top of the foot, or give the knee some padding and then draw up into the core. So you create a little bit more lightness in your body. Good. Slowly, gradually come all the way up. And now we're going to bend the front leg. Hold the knee about over the ankle. And we're going to lean over our leg and try to keep the right arm as close to your thigh as you can. And if you want to keep your hands on the block, feel free to do so. If you want to take a second block and come onto your forearms, do that. Okay, and you can reach the top arm over the head again. There's so many different options. Now, if you would want to try to bind, you could work the right arm under and turn your thumb inwards so you get that internal rotation. Work the arm under the thigh and join your hands behind you. And this is the same action that will be happening in that seated rotation. And here we're giving our shoulder a bit of a stretch. So use the blocks and find the position that works for you now. And then gradually as you practice, you're going to start to notice it changing. Okay, slowly release and come all the way up. And there you might have felt that stretch into the shoulder. Now to come out of it, place your blocks in front and be very mindful of that back knee. Come back into the low lunge. And step it back into downward dog as you exhale. Okay, maybe you want to pedal a little bit through the feet if you felt that into your hip. Then inhale fully. And then exhale, round it, draw that left knee in and step it forward. Good. Lower the back knee into the floor. Turn your foot to the left and come up into Gates pose again. And now we have to turn to the side, flexing the front foot, and then bending over. So bring as many blocks with you as you need it. Right, lift up and out of your hips. Feel free to support your head. Stay with your breath. And notice how it feels on this right leg in the knee. Press down into the shin. Notice how it feels as you're stretching the right side of your spine. Good. And gradually come back up. And then bend the left leg. Keep the knee over the ankle, bending over and working your left arm again as close to the thigh as you can. So the left hand can be on the floor, right arm can reach over. You can also keep your hand on the block or take a couple of blocks or one block, whatever you need to keep the left arm and the left leg as close towards each other as possible. And then turn your left thumb inwards, working that internal rotation. Left shoulder towards that left knee. See if you can work the hands behind you, maybe join hands. And then press the arm and the thigh against each other. And you'll see the purpose behind this a little later. Full breath in, full breath out. Good. Slowly release and come out of it. Place your blocks in front and then slowly, mindfully turn. Be very mindful of that back leg, back knee, and then exhale, step it back into downward facing dog. Maybe again, pedal through your feet. Let's do an upward dog, round it into a plank, inhaling, and to upward dog. Lifting the chest. Maybe this time around you want to lift the knees off the floor, press into your shins. It's all up to you. Do what feels good for you. And then round it into a cat stretch. Press into your shins and the tops of the feet. Inhale, arch it into cow. And exhale into downward facing dog. So good. We're going to inhale again. And then exhale, draw the knee into the navel and slide that right leg into a pigeon position. So here you might have to put the blocks to the side, point the left foot, lifting your chest, seeing that your right knee is in front of the right hip, and then exhale, descend it forward. Now I'll give you different options for this pigeon position. You can keep your forearms to the floor. You can rest your forehead onto the floor and rest the arms at the side of your body. Or if you want to thread the needle, slide your left arm to the right. Rest your head on the block. Take your right thumb to the right hip crease and draw that right hip away. And then perhaps maybe reach the right arm up, turn your right thumb inwards again and work the arm behind your back. Okay, so this arm movement is exactly the same as what we did previously in that modified extended side angle. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Slowly reach that right arm back up. Ground the right palm to the floor and gradually come back out of it. Yes. Ground the palms onto the blocks, curl the back toes under, lift the knee, draw up into the core and press it back into downward facing dog. Maybe pedal through the feet again here. Inhale and then exhale round, draw the left knee in and slide that left foot forward for the pigeon on the second side. So adjust yourself here. Notice how it feels on this side. Stay lifted or bend it forward. And try on all of the different variations and see which one feels best for you. So the reason we're doing this pigeon pose is because there's a lot of involvement of the hips. A lot of involvement of the hips. So the hips, the outer upper hips, the buttocks muscles need to be quite flexible in order to be able to get into that binding position. Good. Slowly, gradually push it away and come all the way up. Place your hands on the blocks again. Press, draw up into the core and go into a downward facing dog. So good, so good. Now we're going to draw the right knee into the navel and step it forward again. And from there, we're going to dip down and cross the left knee to the outside of the thigh and come all the way down. Okay, now I'm also going to suggest that you sit on a block. So I'm actually just going to turn myself the other way around, even though it's the right foot that's on the outside of the left thigh. So again, you're working just with a little bit extra leverage so that your body can gradually start to understand what it is that you want it to do. And we don't want to crank our way into these positions. We just want to gradually over time create that space to see if maybe one day it can happen. So the right leg that is crossed over the left leg, so the left leg is bent. The left leg could of course also be extended. That's perfectly fine. So I'm going to keep it bent. And now we want to draw the right leg as close to our chest as we can, keeping the hips leveled. And wrap the left arm around the thigh and then gently twist it open. So this is your first position. So you can sit here really enjoying that stretch, continued stretch into the outer upper hips from the pigeon position. And then you get that rotation. So this could be the first step for you, where you feel that your right knee is moving close to your left armpit. And then the second step would be that you work the left arm to the outside of the thigh. All right? And because you're on the block, you now have all of this lift and expansion to help you get a little bit deeper into it. Breathe in fully, exhale completely in. You don't want to crank your way in and shrug your shoulders and get all crunched up or scrunched up. You want to be able to still have that little Mona Lisa smile on your face. Good. And then slowly release. And just do an open twist. Now let's try the same thing on the other side before we get into the binding. Okay? So we're bending the right leg this time. And we're crossing the left foot to the outside of the thigh. So it's important that the leg that is bent, you draw it a little bit more over to the side so it's a bit more, the knee is a bit more into the center of the navel and our spiritual heart. And then the left leg we take, moving it from the hip. I hold onto the ankle and the outside of the knee, so I'm protecting my knee. And then I'm drawing it as close towards me as I can, grounding the foot into the floor, sitting up tall, and then wrapping the right arm as snugly around the thigh as I can, and taking maybe the left thumb, drawing that hip down, and then everything is open and free. Everything is open and free. Okay, so the thing with the seated spinal twist is that we have to get really close into ourselves, like our limbs have to get close into the torso. And that's why I started off with the modified extended side angle, so you can get that sense of getting really close into yourself. That's the only way that I can explain it. And see if you can work the arm to the outside of the thigh. Okay? So you have to lift up and feel that that twist is happening from the bottom of your ribs. And try not to struggle. Try not to struggle. Find your breath. Be in a position where you can breathe. Notice the muscles that feel tight. And allow them to soften. And really take your time. Take your time. There's no rush. Nothing drastic is going to happen in life by you being able to bind. Trust me. But it's fun, right? It's fun. It's fun to work on something and to accomplish these poses, but release it. It's more about what it is that we learn about ourselves on the journey towards them being able to accomplish it. Okay, so let's try the other side again. So I'm just going to turn myself around so that you can see. And just remember, I have my right leg on the outside of the left thigh, so it might look the opposite to you, but we only have two sides, so let's not make this complicated. So you draw the right leg as close to your chest as you can, like we did before. You wrap the arm around the thigh, and we twist it open. Now you might even notice doing this the second time around that it even feels easier. And then this might start to feel easy, and then maybe you can take the arm to the outside of the thigh. And this is where you're at. Now the thing is, to get into the bind, you have to let the right arm support the thigh. And then you extend the arm, you turn the thumb inwards like we did before. You have to bend in your elbow and you have to bend in your wrist. So it looks a little bit like this. And then you have to round forward a little bit in order to get into it. And you work the arm on the outside. You press the elbow or the upper part of the elbow against your thigh, and then you have to try to slide the arm through behind your hamstring, and then you work the second arm behind you. And that's what it is. So because you now have this extra leverage of the block, that might help you out a little bit more. And then once you're in the bind, then you press through the right foot, draw up into the core, and maybe then you'll be able to get a little bit more extension. Maybe initially you'll be a little bit more rounded like this, but eventually over time you want to try to keep that heart center open and avoid looking too far behind you. Okay, and then to come out of it, slowly release. You have to continue to bend the elbow and the wrist, and then slowly, voila, do an open twist and release. Okay, shall we on the second side? Yes, we shall. Okay, so which side was this? Right leg bent, left leg crossed. Like I said, we only have two legs. Let's not make it complicated. I just did. Okay, so sit up tall. Draw that left leg as close to your thigh as you can. Wrap the right arm around the thigh. Maybe I always take my left thumb to my left hip. I feel like I have to create a little bit more space on that side because my right side is a little bit tighter than my left. And then maybe the arm can go to the outside of the thigh, holding. And then once the armpit and the knee are close together, then you can try to bind. So turn your thumb inwards. You can hold it or not. On this side, I don't have to hold it as much as I have to on the other side. So these are little tricks that I've taught myself. So turn the thumb inwards, bend in the wrist and the elbow, and then slide it through. And if you need to support your arm a little bit, that's okay. And then work the arms behind you and bind. Drop the shoulders down, maybe move your head. So the thing is that these aren't super easy for me, but they have definitely gotten a little harder because I've been doing so much strength training and I've gotten a little bit stiffer in my older age. But
my advantage is that I do have long arms and I do have a long torso. So it all depends on the proportion of your body, right? And your bones. So you can work on it and you can see if maybe at some point this will be able to happen for you. But also stay open to maybe this is not the right pose for you to be able to bind in. We're all different, and this is one thing that we learn on the yoga path, is that it's okay. It's okay. Try not to be so attached to the outcome, but keep working at it and see, what muscles are weak, what muscles are strong, and what can maybe become a little bit more flexible over time. And yeah, one part of yoga is to be able to do something that we previously were not able to do. Release out of it. But sometimes we get along the path and we recognize that is not the pose for me. It's not necessary that I accomplish that pose, quotation marks, right? And you can come off of your block and then roll down onto your back and just give yourself a good stretch. So that's what's that's what's interesting for me in this yoga practice, is that it's good to come to that point when you recognize whether something is for you or not for you. And once we've traveled down that path, then we know. And once we know, then we can relax and we can settle and say, you know what? There's no FOMO, no fear of missing out, because I know exactly what it's about. Cup your hands around your knees, draw the knees away, lift your head and round your back, just to stretch out the back a little bit, the shoulders, and lift it up. Okay, and then maybe extend the legs out, and if you want to, sometimes what I like to do is to take the two blocks. I can also take blanket and place it on the blocks. Also, if you have a bolster, you can also take a bolster. And then from here, maybe bend it forward. And of course, I have all the tools. Take a pillow, something to support you. And you can bend it forward, and let's give ourselves a good minute here just for our spine, each side of our spine, to settle in after that work. Breathe in and try to fully exhale it out, completely out. Great, and gradually come up. Feel free to stay there a little bit longer if you feel like you need to add on a few other positions to balance out your back. Follow your intuition and give yourself exactly what it is that you need. Cross your legs, sit up on a block if you want to. Then inhale, sweep the arms to the side and up. And then exhale, touch your forehead and your heart. Bow down into the highest within yourself. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I could not have done it without you. Let me know in the comments if this one was helpful. And also see if you can alternate maybe between this one and the cow's face practice, because they do complement each other a lot. The cow's face works a lot on the hips as well as the shoulders. So then once you've practiced them maybe a couple of times, you can take the poses that you feel you need to work on maybe a little bit more, integrate them, and then gradually over time, let the journey take you to wherever it is that you're supposed to go. Enjoy the journey. Let me know how it goes. Thank you so much.